Great. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. My name is Juan Rangel. I'm a community outreach coordinator with Metro Transit. I'm joined by my colleague Christina Morrison, who is a principal project coordinator at Metro Transit and previously served as the Orange Line project manager. So we're really happy to be here with MnDOT in this presentation series to talk about a major transit facility that's being built with the 35W at 94 project. We'll also talk about some of the bus routes that will serve this uh, major facility known as I-35W and Lake Street Station. Um, I-35W and Lake Street Station will be located in South Minneapolis, where four neighborhoods meet. Those neighborhoods are West Phillips, Central, Lyndale, and Whittier. This two-story station will be located between Stevens and 2nd Avenue at the Lake Street level and at the freeway level between the northbound and southbound lanes of 35W. Uh, this illustration that's being shown here um, is from the point of view as if you were in the middle of Lake Street, sitting right in the center line, looking at 35W. Um, on the freeway level, which is the upper level, you can see a Metro Orange Line bus in the upper right, trailed by a couple express buses on 35W. And at the lower level on Lake Street, you see a Metro B line, which is a future Lake Street route, as well as pedestrians ready to board that bus. Also note that Lake Street is served by Route 21 and Route 27. Um, and in this illustration too, you can see on both sides of Lake Street, enclosed lobby surrounded by glass with stairs and elevator to get you to and from the Lake Street level to the freeway level of the station. So in addition to this station serving local and express routes, it will be served by two new Metro bus rapid transit lines. The Orange Line will begin service later this year, and eventually in 2024, the Metro B line will begin service on Lake Street. So next slide, please. And before we get into talking more about the station, I want to describe the Metro lines that will serve this station. The Metro Orange Line bus rapid transit line is a 17-mile bus rapid transit line that'll serve 12 stations along 35W from downtown Minneapolis to South Minneapolis, Richfield, Bloomington, and Burnsville. It'll provide fast, frequent service in both directions all day, every day. Um, During rush hour, the Orange Line will serve stations every 10 minutes, and during non-rush hour, every 15 minutes. So what's nice about this kind of high frequency is once you're at the station, you can count on the bus being there relatively soon. And since the route, goes in both directions all day, not only will there be easy access to downtown, but it will open up more reverse commute opportunities for people in the core who want to travel south to access all the jobs and people outside of downtown. So I'll just describe this route from north to south here. Um, in downtown Minneapolis, the Orange Line will operate in the Marquette and 2nd Avenue bus lanes and serve stations at 3rd Street, 5th Street, 7th Street, and 11th Street. You can see that those station locations in the inset map and the map on the right. From there, it'll get onto 35W on a bus-only ramp to go directly onto 35W min-pass lanes and provide service to the new I-35W and Lake Street station. From there, it'll proceed south to the existing station at 46th Street, and then heading further south to Richfield with the station at 66th Street and the on and off ramp there, and continuing south to exit at 76th Street and turn on Knox Avenue with a station near the Best Buy headquarters. From there, it will go underneath I-494 in a new bus-only tunnel to access the station at Knox and American Boulevard near the Southtown shopping area. And from there, it'll get on 82nd to resume its route on 35W and stop at 98th Street Station, which will be the future name of South Bloomington Transit Center, so you can connect to all the routes that serve that transit center. From there, it'll continue on south to across the Minnesota River to Burnsville with a station near the Highway 13 and Nicollet Avenue before continuing on Travelers Trail to a station at I-35W and Burnsville Parkway. So it's a 17-mile route with 12 stations. Um, it's a $150 million project that's fully funded. Construction is well underway. We're coordinating closely with the MnDOT project 35W at 94 and excited to open this uh, Metro Orange line at the end of 2021. And this Orange line will be the next segment of the Metro network that will be implemented um, as part of a greater plan to expand the Metro network. So if we could go to the next slide, please. Thanks. On the left here is a map of the future rapid transit network. This is the metro system, which is composed of light rail, transit, and bus rapid transit lines, which will provide a faster service and improved customer experience in some of the region's busier corridors. Uh, these metro lines achieve faster trips than local bus service for a few reasons. One is that they make fewer stops, so stations are spaced further apart and than local routes. So the vehicles are moving faster and stopping less. Also, ticket vending machines at stations allow customers to pay their fare before they board, so there's no need to line up in the fare box, and this speeds up the boarding process. The specialized vehicles in the metro system also have additional and wider doors that allow for boarding in both the front and the back, and this also speeds up the boarding process. For some of the bus rapid transit lines that operate in arterial streets, there's, you know, bump outs for station platforms so that buses don't have to merge from traffic lanes to the shoulder and back, causing delays. And other things that we try to implement in the bus rapid transit lines are transit signal priority. So as a bus approaches intersection, the bus communicates with the traffic signal to request more green time so the bus can pass through intersection instead of get delayed at the stop at the traffic lights. So that's some of the ways that the Metro line provides a faster service. And another way that it provides improved experiences through enhanced shelters at the stations. These, of course, provide protection from, the elements and a comfortable waiting space. The station features include heating, lighting, next trip signs, which display the real-time arrival information for bus routes that serve those stations. Stations include bike racks, security cameras, emergency telephones, and litter and recycling containers. So when we look at the map, we see the orange line intersects with the Metro B line at I-35W and Lake Street Station. On the right is a map of a draft plan of the Metro B line route, um, which aims to provide faster and more reliable transit service on Lake Street. Route 21 has been a workhorse in the system, carrying more than 10,000 riders per day pre-pandemic. Um, Lake Street's also a very slow transit corridor with frequent stops and lines of customers waiting to board and red lights, which means the bus moves actually less. The bus moves less than half the time that it's on its route. So Metro B line is one way to uh, that we're looking to make that corridor about 20% faster by stopping less often, allowing customers to pay before they board, and stopping at fewer red lights. The B line is also fully funded and anticipated to start service in 2024. And as part of the 35W and Lake Street Connections projects, B line stations will be built at the street level of I-35W and Lake Street Station, as well as at Nicollet and Lake and 4th Avenue and Lake. Um, so with that, I will pass it on to Christina so she can give us a bit more background on the I-35W and Lake Street Station and the history and the vision and how we've gotten to where we're at. So I hand it to you.
Thanks, Juan. That was a great introduction. Can you guys hear me okay? Do you want to give me a thumbs up, Juan? I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah, okay, good. So as Juan said, I'm Christina Morrison. I am currently in the engineering and facilities section of Metro Transit, but I have been with the Orange Line project since sort of, I'll call it the modern era of Orange Line planning started around the beginning of 2013. So I've had a chance to see a lot of the planning and design that's gone into the line, especially at this Lake Street station. Next slide, please. So I want to do a little bit of time travel here for people that remember back to what Lake Street and 35W looked like before the 35W at 94 construction project began. So these photos would have been pre-2018. And part of this, I think, helps to kind of understand where a lot of the drive and the purpose and need was coming from for this project. So if you look at the Lake Street level on the right side of the screen, you see really dark, kind of a dark tunnel under 35W. It's very narrow. The sidewalks under there maybe are about 5 feet wide, but they often, as it's shown here, had big windrows of snow and ice. So not a very hospitable place to walk, not a very hospitable place to get on or off a bus. And then if you were trying to make a connection up to the 35 level, there is only one way to do that, and that's by stairs. And those stairs were in pretty poor condition. They were crumbling and obviously not accessible to everyone. And then once you get up to the 35W level, there was really kind of a minimal, I would say inadequate is a kind word here, minimal space for people to stand, really just right adjacent to traffic. So this was a space that we felt like it's not protected, it's not dignified, it's not comfortable. It's not really consistent with the kind of service, the levels of service that we see on 35W or the kind of service or accommodations that this very transit reliant neighborhood deserves. So
Christina, this is Amy.
yes, yes,
You're kind of going in and out a little bit
okay,
on that, so I'm not sure if we can try holding it up a little closer or
okay,
thank you.
yeah, thank you. Is this any better? Sometimes when I turn my own volume up, it helps the
Yeah,
sound.
keep talking.
Okay, I'm going to keep talking. Feel free to interrupt me if I fade out a little bit.
This is better. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Um, so what we've seen here is that we've had buses really traveling in the 35W corridor for decades, but that our passenger facilities just haven't kept up. And as highway congestion grew over the last decade, buses were kind of weaving from the center of 35W out to these uh, bus stops on the side. I was going to call them stations, but they're not stations. They're just a shelter on the side of the road. So as the congestion grew in this area, that weaving really became less feasible from an operations standpoint, from a safety standpoint. And so since about 2011, there has been um, only a mix of service here. So Metro Transit terminated service to the northbound Lake Street stop at 35W in 2011. And then actually there were sort of further restrictions put on it, just really trying to work with what we could with trying to get buses over there safely. And then actually in 2014, a truck actually hit the northbound bridge on Lake Street. And so the northbound stop was closed indefinitely at that point. So this has been really a long time in the making, but certainly this is what we started with, and we're going to kind of move into the vision and what we see today.
Say,
Uh,
Christina, we're
yes.
still having trouble hearing you.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps you could turn off your video to see if that
Okay.
saves some of the bandwidth or makes a difference.
Okay. I'm going to keep talking and let me know if it gets better or about the same. I could also switch to my phone.
This is sounding good so far, or you can try switching to your phone as well.
Okay. Let's see. I am going to try to switch to my phone because usually I have a little more luck with that on WebEx. Sorry about this, guys.
And Juan, maybe you want to fill in here. Do you remember the day when we were bringing a group of students down to show them this intersection here and where, you know, and how people had to board the bus from here and that?
Yeah, I think when we were traveling with that group of students, this whole staircase was kind of essentially blocked off because it was just totally falling apart, and you could just hear the loudness of the freeway, and I couldn't imagine actually being at the shoulder there and trying to board a bus.
Yeah,
But I see Christina's back. See if we can hear your audio or
Okay, how does this work? Is this a little better? I will keep talking, testing it
sounds
out.
great. Sounds great.
Okay, good. We're just going old-fashioned phones. That's
Perfect.
Cool. Okay, so we'll go on to the next slide and we'll talk a little bit about the vision. So the vision for this project really came together with 4 agencies. That was MnDOT, Hennepin County, the City of Minneapolis, and Metro Transit. And along with the neighborhoods and Lake Street Business Council, there was a lot of, I would say, planning and sort of visioning happening about what can the MnDOT project do to leverage placemaking in this area, to leverage the street reconstruction, to help create a transit station that actually works for transit and works for riders and is fully accessible. So this is a view of what the transit platform looks like. Well, it looks like today, actually, on the top of 35W. So imagine you're a bird looking straight down at 35W. You can see there are going to be side platforms. So the buses pull out of the in-pass lane and they pull straight into the station and over to the side of the platform to pick passengers up and drop them off. And then there's actually a passing lane in each direction. So we will have, we anticipate such a volume of buses here that we did want to include a way for buses to pass each other so that if someone, if there's some delay or, you know, bus breaks down or really anything, buses can weave in and out without delay, sort of independently. So there should be a little animation if we click on this. Ta-da. So if you peel back 35W, what you'll see underneath is the Lake Street level, and really this is going to be, those little gray circles are bridge piers, so that's what's holding up the station and 35W above. And the rest of it is all going to be pedestrian plaza, and then these 2 glass lobbies that Juan showed the illustration of on the first slide. So this is, you know, compared to that little dark box that you were walking through with the 5-foot sidewalk, this is almost an acre of pedestrian plaza under 35W at Lake Street. And this, as we mentioned, this will serve not just the freeway level buses, but also the 21, the 27, and the Future B line. And we'll go to the next slide. So here's some just renderings of kind of what the vision was, and these are fairly old. They're from probably the 2015 to 2017 range timeframe. So this was kind of part of the original design work of trying to figure out what people wanted here, how they wanted it to look, how it was going to tie into Lake Street itself. So in the upper left, you see the freeway level platform. So this is like looking from the southbound platform looking north towards downtown, and what that'll feel like to kind of be out there getting ready to board a bus. Down in the lower left, you'll see the arches, and if you've been out on Lake Street in the past year or so, you've seen those arches come up out of the ground, and it's pretty striking. You can see them for quite a distance, and so that was like kind of part of the original vision, was like creating this landmark station, creating this this really visible investment in transit. And then on the right, you see sort of what that plaza looks like, and this would be on the north side of Lake Street. So again, going from that really small, you know, tiny sidewalk where all the pedestrian activity is happening to this very large space that can accommodate, you know, not just the movements coming between these transit lines, but also connections down to the Greenway and through traffic, commercial traffic for Lake Street. just lots more space and lighting for people to really feel comfortable and feel like it's a place instead of kind of an edge. So we will move on to the next slide. I'm going to take a drink of water. Oh, and I'm going to throw it back to Juan to talk a little bit about some of the benefits of the new station.
Thanks, Christina. So yeah, the new station will be fully accessible, including elevators to reach the station platforms. In the image in the lower right is the glass lobby, which has a staircase to reach the freeway level, but also two elevators on either side of the staircase here in that lobby. And just as a reminder, this lobby is mirrored on the other side of Lake Street, so it'll be both on the north and the south side of Lake Street. Um, in addition to being fully accessible, at the northwest edge of the station will be a new trail that's being built connecting Lake Street to the Midtown Greenway. Um, in that upper right image is a rendering of the trail. I think it's also known as the Green Crescent. That includes a bike path and a pedestrian path, so you can walk and roll between your modes, like our buses have bike racks, so if you wanted to combine a ride with a bike and a bus, you could, go from Burnsville or Lake Street and then hop on the Greenway and, mix up your travel style. Um, the enclosed lobbies here will have real-time bus information, monitors and screens, so it's a comfortable area to wait and check to see when your bus is coming. New lighting 24/7 will, improve visibility drastically compared to what was there before and, add a sense of, comfort as you pass through. This pedestrian plaza is so large that it just provides, ample space to make your bus connection or pass through the area. And as we mentioned, um, the new BRT station and bus stop at Lake Street will provide easy connections to the Route 21, Route 27, and the future B line. And on the freeway level, easy connections to the Orange Line and express bus routes on 35W. And because the transit will be so frequent in this area, it presents opportunities for transit-oriented development, you know, which could be, uh, development for people who necessarily don't want or don't need to, have a car, and can just rely on transit to meet all their needs in this being in proximity to this hub. Uh, let's see, next station, please, or next slide, please. Thank you. Um, Another benefit to the station is it'll connect Lake Street to downtown in under 10 minutes, um, using a combination of the min-pass lanes, which are high occupancy vehicle lanes. Um, it'll provide a seamless access into downtown. The image on the right shows this bus-only ramp with the red lanes. The lane on the right is for buses entering downtown Minneapolis and then continuing on bus lanes on 2nd Avenue, and then for the southbound routes, they can use a bus-only lane on Marquette, and then use this bus-only ramp to go directly onto min-pass lanes on 35W. So it really eliminates any of the merging delays um, that were previously there when buses had to kind of compete with other traffic to get into the 35W. So kind of as I mentioned before, uh, the station will have 10-minute service in both directions during rush hour, 15 minutes during midday, evening, and weekend service. Um, and this Metro Orange Line will run 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. So just a really, reliable, fast option for folks who want to, move up and down this corridor, which I-35W has been the busiest commuter corridor, obviously pre-pandemic, super busy with, about 20,000 riders per day. So really, beefing this up for, improved transit service in the corridor. Oh, and one thing I'll note here, um, the, the buses that the Orange Line will use are 60-foot diesel buses that have that accordion type bend, or they're known as articulated buses. I just saw that in the chat here, so um, I think with that I'll pass it on to Christina, who can cover some of the construction progress that's happening out there. Christina?
Thanks, Juan. So go to the next slide, please. So we're going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek of the kind of inside tour of progress at 35W in Lake. And we're going to start on the freeway level. This is actually, taking this picture, I'm actually standing on the northbound 35W bridge that's not yet open to traffic. Obviously, you can see it's not yet paved. So that's in progress, but it's a good vantage point to see sort of the approach to the station and kind of its relationship to downtown. You can see these landmark arches that we talked about. Those will be all lit up at night, and those have glass walls that run about, I would say about 3/4 of the way up, and then the top is sort of open air. And so that's kind of what you see from the Lake Street side or from the 35W side. And then we'll move on to the next slide. So this is what you would see as you come either from the elevator, which is sort of how I'm approaching, or coming up the stairs into the freeway kind of vestibule level. And as you come up these stairs, you'll have real-time signs mounted above that door to show you when your bus is arriving. So remember, you might be riding the Orange Line, but you also might be riding a number of express buses that are in this corridor stopping at Lake Street. So we are putting in quite large real-time signs that are going to have multiple lines, just like you would see downtown for all the buses arriving. Then there's also going to be transit information up there, but this is going to be a space that everybody passes through. There's 4 of these vestibules, so 1 on each corner, as well as 4 elevators, 1 in each vestibule. So different options to get up and down without having to cross at the freeway level. Next slide, please. So this is, you can envision standing out. I've done this a few times myself, standing out waiting for that southbound Orange Line. You're on the new platform, side platform, southbound platform, and you see it has that iron tactile strip already installed. Those canopies are going up above. Those will have heat and light and kind of this open air sort of look to the station and the glass walls. But this is, I keep thinking, I take these pictures out there during my construction walks, and then I think, this doesn't really do the view justice. The view of downtown is really great from up there. So I'm excited to be, kind of in the future waiting here for a bus and admiring those views of downtown. And you can see here, it's maybe a little hard to tell how wide that lane is, but there is kind of a pull in for the bus to make that stop at the station, and then also a passing lane in each direction. Next slide, please. So this is the view downstairs on the plaza. The plaza work is just beginning, and they've been putting in the last couple of weeks. They're starting to put in the kind of the walls that form up the ramps and things and the stairs. So you see that in the foreground, and then behind that, the big, they call them footballs on the construction team. These are the big glass lobbies that Juan talked about that'll have your ticket vending machines, your validators, your real-time signs on the back wall. So this is kind of the hub, which everyone will travel through between the first and the second floor. And next slide, please. This is what it looks like just coming down from the upstairs freeway. So kind of a view of kind of that mezzanine level. They're under plywood, so it's hard to see, but there are bike rails installed in this in these staircases. And then the back wall, the 2-story wall, is going to have sort of an architectural feature wall installed, so kind of a decorative metal paneling. And below the stairs will be where the large real-time signs will be installed as well. So just to give you kind of a a sense of what it feels like to be in that space and how close it is really to being finished out.